So in our previous videos, that is introduction to fundamental pedogenic process, we have discussed that how this fundamental and pedogenic process will work out. That is, there will be some gain of parent material and there will be some loss of parent material and there will be some deposition and translocation of the materials, that whatever the clay particles and all. So please follow that video and then you come back to watch this video. So now let us discuss about elevation. So elevation is nothing but it is one of the fundamental pedogenic process. How it works? Now let us go in deep. So before going to in deep, what are the layers of the soil? So we know O horizon, A horizon, and B horizon, C horizon, and R horizon. So we know all these horizons. Now let us discuss about how this E horizon will be developed. So this is your elevation layer. So what does this layer means? It is nothing but elevation means washout. It means whatever the particles are there here, the clay particles or whatever the pedogenic after weathering, whatever the particles are there are will be washed out. So it is a process of removal of constituents in a suspension or a solution by the percolating water from upper to lower regions, So whatever the particles are the clay particles or sand particles, whatever the soil particles or parent material or developed here will be translocated, will be washed out from upper to lower regions. Here you can say I used one word called translocation. This is what I have discussed in my previous introduction to pedology. Sorry, not pedology. Introduction to fundamental pedogenic process. Now, this elevation encompasses mobilization, that is a movement, and translocation of mobile constant resulting in a textural difference. Yes, what will happen means, imagine whatever the sand particle or clay particles are present here, it will be washed out and will be deposited in the lower regions like in these regions. What will happen? There will be a different texture will be there. For example, if you found here some sandy loams type of texture we can find, but suddenly what we can see in the lower textures, we can see there will be a here what will happen, you can see the percentage of sand might be reduced because it all are deposited or lost, and all whatever the oxides or base saturated cations all will be washed out from this layer. That is called the washout layer. It is called the elevation layer. So the what is meaning the mechanical movement of clay and iron oxides from a horizon, like this, from this horizon, without undergoing chemical alteration, it is called as lissewage. This is another process in which will happen in our during the soil formation. This is called lissewage. Now let us go in deep. What is that? Continuation to topic. So leaching refers to the movement and removal of material in solution from soil. So leaching is nothing but movement and removal of materials. So whatever the materials are there are developed here, it will be removed in solution. The form of solution is called your leaching. It cannot the removal of dissolved material from the entire soil. So during this mobility, what will happen? Different elements will move at a different mobility will be there. What are those? For example, if you see calcium, sodium, potassium, and magnesium, they're the basic cations, and you can see some micronutrients like microelements like iron, silicon, aluminium. You can see these are most mobile. These are highly mobile. These are cations and magnesium are highly mobile, followed by these are very least mobile. So the mobility of different elements are varies in this elevation process. So the leaching of element depends not only on the relative mobility, but also on the rate of water percolated with the water. So what will happen whenever there is a rainfall is there or water percolation will be there? This movement or this washing out, whatever the particles are present here will be washed out. That depends not only on the relative mobility of the cation or elements, but also it depends upon the movement of water or percolation of through water. So the effect of leaching is well illustrated with the depth of accumulation of calcium carbonate. See what will happen means This leaching, whatever, so this leaching, whatever, so I'm discussing about this leaching. When this was leached off, or when these layers were, when all the it be reached off, it can be easily illustrated. It can be easily described with the help of how far the calcium carbonate was deposited in the lower layers. So in different climatic conditions, different depth of calcium carbonate depositions we can observe. For example, in hot and arid zones, we can see there is a less than 50%, 15 centimeters of calcium carbonate depositions we can see. Followed by humid and arid zone, we can see 100 to 150 centimeters of a calcium carbonate accumulation we can observe in the soil, in the below this elevation layer. And subhumid zone, where it is more than 150 centimeters of calcium carbonate depositions we can be observed. So this is how the elevation is taking place in the soil. Thank you.